programming. Network programming, also known as socket programming. Socket is mechanism used in Linux for one process communicate with another process that is far and through network. What is socket? It is a group of system calls for networking capability which are socket, bind, listen, accept, connect, close, and others. Socket are one of the inter-process communication IPC facility for communication between one process with another. Socket can be either connection-based or connection-less, packet-based or streams-based, and reliable or unreliable. Basic socket system call. Socket to create a socket. Bind to assign a socket with socket address. Listen to announce willingness to accept a connection. Accept to accept a request. Connect to actively attempt to make a connection. Send and receive data over connection. Close to close socket and release the connection. For UDP socket, first, the server and the client will create socket. The server will bind local IP address of socket to port. Next, the client specifies sender's address and send request. Then, the server will receive the address and the request. It will send reply or confirmation to the client. Lastly, the client closes the socket. While the UDP can be likened to the postal service, packets or the letter can be the sent to recipients without contracting them in advance for permission to do so. There is no guarantee that letter will be delivered. Similarly, there is no guarantee that letters will be sent or received in particular sequence. For TCP socket, first, the server and the client will create socket. The server will bind local IP address of socket to port. The client will issue connection request to server. Then the server will place the socket in passive mode ready to accept request. The client will transfer message strings with send or receive or read or write, while the server will receive the request and process it. After that, it will send reply or confirmation to the client. And lastly, the client will close the socket and release the connection. Comparing TCP and UDP is like comparing the postal service with telephone network. TCP corresponds to a telephone call. The calling party must set up a connection, which accepted by the person called before information can be passed. During the call, all the information sent is received in the same order in which it was sent.